be live. For a second.
Oh, I see the delay.
Yeah. There we are. Look at that. Oops. Oh, no. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Peaked. I'm your host, Corey Luna. On AV is Rich Hogben, and tonight we feature Schugar and HEXMODE. Each artist will perform. We've got a pre-recorded set from Schugar, and then HEXMODE will do a set afterwards with a live set. We'll do performances back to back. We've got about an hour's worth of material from 7 to 8 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock, we're going to start our group interview between both the artists. And if they decide to talk over me and leave me out of the conversation, that's okay. Then we'll go that way maybe. But in the meantime, let's get into some awesome music, and then afterwards we'll do a brief intermission between the sets as we get things set up. And during the and a little later on, I'll do a couple announcements about what's going to be happening later on this year with Peaked. So, Rich, let's please check out Schugar. All right. That was Schugar, everybody. Schugar, thanks for doing this, man. This is awesome.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
it was awesome.
While we wait for Janae, let's ask a couple questions. What filters did you have in your set today?
Hold on a second. I got a delay going on. I had the audio going on. There we go. All right. Ask that question again.
Sure. So while we wait for Hex mode to come on, yeah, tell us about what filter you're using.
What filter am I using? I'm using a bunch of them, man. I mean, I have two Moog devices. I have the DFAM and I have the Mother 32. So both of those were going. I also have the nonlinear circuits, Null-A, and that has two different VCFs on it. One is the standard ladder filter. I can't remember what the other one is called, but both of those do some interesting stuff. And then up there, I have another ladder filter that's like uses the same chip as the Moog ladder filter. So I've got a bunch of Moog related type stuff. And then yeah, I don't know. I had lots of devices all being filtered in one way, shape, or form. So
What was the main bass sound?
that was probably the Mother 32 that I was using that made that. The
The
throbby,
32?
the really
Yeah.
throbby. Yeah, that's the Mother 32. I actually really hated the Mother 32 for the last, like, all the whole time I've had it, up until, like, maybe 2 months ago, and, 2 months ago, I got really committed to, like, "Okay, I own this thing. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna figure something out about it." And what I figured out is, like, duh, it's a Moog synthesizer. It can do fat bass, so u
Yeah.
use it for that and get over it. Like, I hate learning how to save things on, the digital sequencer. Like, it shouldn't be that hard because it really is way more complicated than it needs to be. S so I have, like, 2 patches saved, and I use it for that, and, like, I can get a lot of distance with that. So, yeah, yeah.
Did you have an was it the DSP in there? Was that the I want to say, was it Erica Synths that made that?
What is it? I'm not
It's a
sure
type of
what.
a distortion filter.
Oh, no, I don't have that. I don't know what you were thinking you saw maybe.
Something in the lower right-hand, no, maybe lower left-hand corner of the screen. There's a like maybe like a 12 HP module with like a big knob at the top, and then a couple of smaller ones at the bottom.
Let me look. Oh, that's the Erica Synths delay.
That's what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I just have that. There's and then I'm using there's a filter next to it actually that I have. I don't remember what that one's the tip top audio one. And I
Mm.
actually have a switch that appliance side built for me. And that switch is being driven by uh it's another nonlinear circuits device. I can't remember. Not it's it's not the Helvetica scenario, but it's something but also things that appliance side built for me. So
What
but
else do you
yeah, so that's all doing some clicky like inconsistent rhythmic stuff kind of in the background throughout most of this set.
What they was it? I'm sorry, what was their name? Syntheside? Was
Oh,
it?
appliance
Appliance Side.
side.
Appliance Side mentioned in the comments that they made a few of your modules. What other
Yeah.
modules did they make for you?
I mean
Build?
a bunch of them, like at least a third of what you can see. I actually have two of a kind piece called the Sciences. Only myself and Appliance Side have that piece, and it's got. I mean, I wish he could just talk about it because I'm an idiot when it comes to explaining these things. But it's got like a VCA and a ring modular, but it's dual, so it's like 2 of each, and then, it's got a 4-channel mixer, it's and then it's got some other fun I mean, there's a lot you can do with it, and I barely scratched the surface on what it can do, and then he built the Null-A for me. All the nonlinear circuit stuff I have, he built for me out of kits or just out of from design or what have you. Appliance side and I think he's Greg on there. They're both people that were in my experimental noise band that we've had for almost 25 years. So
And what's the name of your experimental noise band?
Unconditional Loathing.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, maybe we can have Appliance Side on the show sometime to go more in depth on what he's built over the years and how he's contributed to that noise project.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to talk to him.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd be totally down.
Cool. All right. Looks like our next performer, Hex Mode, is ready. So,
Sweet.
Shuga, we will continue this conversation in about half an hour. Let's
Alright,
go.
awesome.
Cool. Thank you, man. And let's go on over to Hex Mode. everyone. That was Hex Mode. Let's big hand. That was awesome. Wow. Sinead, you gonna be in ninja mode all night?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah. That was awesome.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, that was completely improv. I wasn't sure where it was gonna go, but actually I think it was pretty fun. I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's very cool. That's very fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was great.
So much for doing this.
Corey, I can't really hear you, dude. I can hear Schugar, but not really you.
How about now?
Yeah, there you go. Much better.
All right, I had to turn my volume. So, dude, tell me about. I know you was all. And it was for the moment for you. A little busy lately, having your baby, and congratulations. Tell us a little bit about set your setup tonight.
Yeah, I'd love to. So one second. So basically, okay. Let me switch the camera first, so you don't look at my scary face or no face. All right, cool. So let me hide this first. All right. So what we have here, it's an interesting routing setup. So my hex mode, Corey, we've known each other for a long time, right? So this has changed quite a bit. I have a Eurorack system behind.
Turn your mic down a little bit.
Oh, down? Sure. 1 second. Hold on. Is that better?
Maybe. We're still having a little bit of a ring going on. Some noise.
A ring? Okay, hold on.
I'm not sure where that's coming from. Okay, that's a little better.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
slightly. Yeah.
Better? Okay, sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So, yeah, so I used to use just pure Eurorack before. And I have a Eurorack setup behind me. I have 2 IntelliGel cases, but what I realized is drums in Eurorack are really difficult. They don't hit as hard, frankly. It's very difficult. You got to process them a lot. And so I went through so many modules, and I wasn't really able to get the drums hitting right, and to the power that I really wanted. So it took me a while to search for how can I kind of complement. Okay, I'll do a Eurorack, but maybe I'll use the drums or something else. And the heart of everything really is the TR8S on the left here. So this is the Roland TR8S. And so this thing, I don't know if anyone's played with this thing, but the drums are incredible. I mean, it's just so powerful, and the drums hit super hard. And I just love the layout. It has all the, all these decay and a lot of modulation that you can do live. It's really, really well designed. And so that's playing all my drums. I have a bunch of different drum kits in here that I was just switching in between. So my whole thing is switching between drum kits makes it feel like a whole new song, right? So that's sort of my technique, is to switch between drum kits every time a song gets a little bit repetitive. So I do that with my drums, and yeah, I can talk about that as well. But I'm actually I don't really like the in the TR8S, it has a sequencer. I don't really like that sequencer, to be honest. So I use the BeatStep Pro, which is the pink line down here. So I use the BeatStep Pro because it's a much better sequencer to sequence the drums of the TR8S. So I use this as a sequencer. I use this, and then I have the Moog on the right, which I tried to sequence with the BeatStep Pro, but it was having a lot of issues, so I still need to figure it out. But this is the subsequent 37. This is where all the synths and the bass and everything was coming from. I mean, this thing is a beast. I don't know if anyone's played with this before, but I don't really like Moogs. A lot of Moogs sound very sort of corny to me. I never really liked them. They sound really really corny is the best way. But for some reason, the subsequent just sounds really dark and really fits kind of techno, which is sort of what I do. And sort of darker, dark techno kind of darker house. So all of my basses and leads, come out of the subsequent, and all of it is getting routed actually into a 4-channel tractor, like all in one DJ setup, right? And this is just like I mean, I could actually DJ regular tracks on this, and that's sort of the point. It started off like I'll mix regular tracks with sort of my live stuff. But the reason I use this is it has really good effects, like so digital effects. The effects are really amazing on any sort of like, you know, Pioneer or I use Tractor. So yeah, so I use my effects through this. I use it as a 4-channel mixer, and everything is routed through this Tractor S4 basically. And I have my laptop, which just effectively just acts as just, you know, the visualizer if I want to change drums and stuff on the fly, or if I just want to see what's happening with my Tractor S4. So yeah, that's my setup effectively.
And tell me about the 80. I'm sorry. Is it the Roland 8S drum machine you're using? Because I remember you were when you were shopping around and you were looking at different drum machines, that you were looking at a couple of different models, and I'm curious about why you chose that one.
Yeah, sure. So it's because honestly, the drums just sound so like polished, and they just sound completely mixed. And you know you add a little bit of reverb and delay. That's all you really need to make it sound you know, pretty full. And I just wasn't getting it. Just wasn't cutting through on my modular, for example. So that's why I went to the TR8S, and you know, as opposed to a pure modular setup. I've had so many modular drums. I still have like those tip-top audio, like hi-hats and snares that everyone has. But it's like, honestly, they'll sound like shit. Like, they sound like garbage. I mean, you just got to be honest here. Like, you just listen to the TR8S with the same 909 hat, any sort of 909 or 808 hats, compared to the modular, you're just not going to get that same energy, you know? And especially on the low end is really where the TR8S shines. And you can have all of this digital, you know, processing that you can do inside its own software that you just can't do with the modular. Like I really tried. I mean, I have compressors. I have like all these preamps modules, right? So you're paying like hundreds of dollars just for like a fucking preamp. Sorry, but it just doesn't. It just didn't cut through. So eventually, I'm like, you know what? This thing is just it just works, and it just everything. And the faders, that's the other thing. Like on my modular, I had only 6-channel mixer, and it's really hard. And this thing I have 11 channels, right? So each drum has its own volume fader and its own delay, decay, reverb, whatever tune. And so you can just make a full set with the TR8S versus a modular where you need so much like routing and craziness just to get like a little bit of flexibility. So I think the flexibility and also the power of the TR8S is why I went down that route.
Excellent. Excuse me. Excellent explanation of why you chose it, and thank you for telling me about it. Because I remember when you were doing all modular sets back in 2019, and I would see you perform at Resident here in San Francisco before you moved out to Utah, and that was one of the things that you and I talked about a while ago, and I still have one of the modules, the 808 clone hi-hats. I still have it in one of my modular setups of the 84 HP that you gave me. I still have it. Didn't get rid of it. It's fun.
Yeah, you know, you can keep it. I mean, like it's yours. But yeah, I think so. Actually, I've been doing proper live shows now in front of a live audience. I've done 2 shows, and I did another one. I did one a couple of weeks ago with a friend of mine. So now I can incorporate other people into this setup through this mixer, right? I can have another person. So he brought his Pulsar 23 or 27, whatever that is. That's Soma.
Yeah.
Yo, that thing is wild. I mean, and that guy, my friend, he's like live patching during a live set. You know, it was like a 1 a.m. set, and it was like 50 people there, and making some crazy noises. And that thing, I don't know, that thing sounds even more intense than this TR8S. Honestly, it's just so like raw, you know. So yeah, I like that I can sort of incorporate other people into my sets too, even if it's just for like atmospherics. I'm happy just doing the drums and a little bit of synth, but I don't even need to do the synth. I can just have other people doing synths and stuff. So my goal with Hex Mode actually, and if people are interested, is to sort of make this like a collaborative kind of concept where I can play live with multiple people and just incorporate it all into this like, into the system, and I can just blend people in and out. So that's the goal that I'm trying. That's where I'm trying to take Hex Mode, I think, next.
And have you built out? I've been watching what's been going on on YouTube, not YouTube, on your Instagram account, and it looks like you've built out a studio for yourself out there.
Yeah, so I have a home studio now. That's sort of what you're seeing here. If I could turn my laptop, I'm pretty proud of this thing. But yeah, I have a home studio. It's like my own space. It's away from the main house. I can just crank up the volume as loud as possible. My neighbors don't complain, so that was the goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's hard to find, but
I'm really glad you're able to do that. That sounds fantastic.
yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, so that's sort of my setup, and I still want to bring back my Eurorack into this, right? Like, because Eurorack's really good for sort of strange noises and effects and just atmospherics and stuff. In addition to whatever synths and everything like that. But I eventually want to bring back. I might bring a small, yeah, exactly, like a small skiff. I have two IntelliGel cases they're the big ones too, so it's just like a lot. So I might just bring a small skiff with like a very select modules. Yeah, mats or bats, the new one, the cheap one, which I might. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's evolving, but I'm really happy with this setup, and the Moog just sounds incredible. So, at least the subsequent does. The other Moogs are, they're hit or miss.
Very good. Speaking of interesting sounds coming from Modular, Sugar, tell us a little bit more about your setup tonight, and I'd love to hear also a little about of the history that we were hearing from some of the people in the chat tonight.
Sure. Is my mic on? I turned it off before.
It
Can you hear
is.
me?
I can hear
Okay.
you. Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, all right. So I'll give you history. Let's start there. A couple of the people that were on the chat maybe still are Appliance Side and Greg. We all met. Well, I'm Appliance Side and I met in Fargo, North Dakota. And we started making noise together in, I don't know, the early 90s, mid 90s, something like that. He remembers dates better than I do. And so uh we have we did all sorts of ridiculous things in North Dakota. And then I got sick of being in Fargo, so I moved to Minneapolis, and then he also moved to Minneapolis, and then we met up with a couple of cats from Kansas, Greg being one of those, and they had a project together, and we kind of merged, and uh, we were called are called Unconditional Loathing, and we did shows all throughout the Midwest, and did a couple of tours to the West Coast, to the East Coast. And then after 9/11, we literally uh, about a week after 9/11, we split up because I moved to the West Coast. And so uh, I've been making music, making noise, being experimental weirdo since I can remember. I mean, I had one of those early tape to tape recorder, dual cassette recorder, boombox type joints when I was I think I was 8 years old. So whatever that is, 82 maybe, 81. And I would make even at that age, I would make cut up tapes from other tapes and like record my sisters and my brother and my parents arguing or whatever, anything I could, and add Van Halen to it or Michael Jackson. And then it just kind of swelled from there. I mean, I played instruments in junior high and high school, and I, sang, and actually went to college for music theory and composition and Italian arias, like vocal music, and quit that because I don't know why I was doing that. I didn't want to have anything to do with any of what I was actually going to school for, other than it was just kind of like get me started. And so yeah, I met Paul, Appliance Side, Paul's his name, in the early 90s. We worked at a Chinese restaurant together in North Dakota. And that's when I really started doing more and more live, like push myself. And then I found dance music and techno and disco and was a DJ and etc. And I've always had synthesizers and drum machines and computers. And so my whole world of music experience is kind of all over the place. Um, I've been in bands, I've played a shitload of instruments. Uh yeah, kind of like that merging of experimental noise and techno together in the very early 90s really kind of like drove me harder. Like I really liked that. And so I've always kind of, whether I veered away from that, I always came back to it. And Appliance Side, he was always way into modular synths in the early days of Unconditional Loathing, and then he went on to be an engineer and like develop his own designs and build a lot of synths. And so I was like, okay, I'm ready to throw a bunch of money away. I hit him up and was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, how do we do this? What does that look like? And so like the case you see here was my first case. Actually, in the video, you didn't really see much any of this because I didn't have enough time to put on the multiple cameras, but I used this case for a lot of different things. Uh, this case has both my DFAM and my Mother 32 in it. It also has a big sequencer that I only kind of used. I usually use it a lot. The Null-A is in there. The science is built by Appliance Side, designed by Appliance Side. Um, and then I don't know if you can see it back here. I've got the Moog grandmother. And so that was actually playing something very subtly arpeggiated. This is the dust collector from Fine Gear, I mean.
Hmm.
It's like a full-on effects processor, but it also has some CV ins and outs, and it has a couple of LFOs. So it's got like tank reverb on it, and phaser, and delay, and uh, it's got tape distortion heads. So, and that's all analog.
I'm not familiar with that piece.
Oh, well, Fine Gear has some really amazing, just quirky pieces. They got a new thing. Actually, they got a couple new things. They got a mixer that you can chain together. I mean, if you want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars,
Yes.
that's
Tell me.
um they have a new effects process. I can't remember the names of any of the new stuff, but yeah, like they do some pretty awesome gear, just like weird antiquated type shit.
And that's what we all want.
Yeah, right. Um So yeah, I have 3 different mixers that I run everything into, and then
Mhm.
run it down to an Allen and Heath ZI-10, and then that has 4 channels into my that I run into Ableton, and I use the BeatStep Pro. I can sync absolutely everything, including my computer, which used to be a problem for many people with Modular, into Ableton. So I can also like bring my laptop on the road, and I can sync anything I have going on in Ableton and use those inputs and have one master stereo output to a DI if I have to for a live performance. So
Cool.
yeah, so I can do a lot.
Yeah, VCF Pro is king. Honestly, I love that thing. It's just so good. That's what I was doing when I was using my Euro rack. I mean, I try to throw MIDI at the Moog, because this one doesn't have C. I mean, this specific Moog doesn't have CV. There's a CV version of this, but it's just the VCF Pro is just magical. It's just so intuitive. I love this. I love that thing.
Yeah, that's a Tria, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Janaid, I've seen you perform with that, and many other people as well. I remember seeing you using that at a resident back in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and they got the KeyStep Pro now, which has just the same thing with a keyboard. But yeah, it's really incredible. And if I ever bring my Modular back into this rig, I'll probably start using the BeatStep Pro, one of the sequencers on here. I've been having some MIDI issues with the subsequent for some reason, but I don't know, Sugar, if you have some issues, I get MIDI overloading, and I get these like hung notes, which is like super annoying. But
I haven't had any issues. But
that's great. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't pushed it to its limit yet either. So I don't. I mean, it comes and it goes in the setup, you know.
Do you like your? I know the DFAM is really that's also a very kind of darker sounding Moog. And what is the grandmother like? I never really played with that one. Got to play with that.
What is it like? I don't use it enough. It has a great arpeggiator, which I have always not used enough, but mostly because when I'm doing stuff like this, I tend to go approach it more atonally, just because I don't want to tune everything. That's more of a mental headache for me than anything, and I just prefer to be like approach it from it's just super atonal. Like if it hurts your ears, good, that's what I was going for, like that. But yeah, so I haven't explored the grandmother enough, but it has like a sequencer where you can save 3 patches, which is kind of cool. It's like I said, the arpeggiator is really cool. It's got a bunch of patch points that I'm sure, like, if I really tried harder, I could do a lot more with all the different oscillators that I have, and actually, really play stuff on it, and like have an orchestra of modular madness.
And Sugar, tell us about your was it degrees of separation for a record label?
Yeah. So well, a long time ago, specifically in the dance music world, I've been making stuff from house to techno, and I mean, probably things in between, and probably things that purists wouldn't like either. And I was attempting to shop my tunes to other labels and realized that, like, it's a sea of I don't give a shit, basically. I like, it was I was putting out more effort trying to find like where to put something out than go, okay, how do I just do this myself? And this was long before internet was like it was as easy as it was. And but I built websites since the early or mid 90s. And so I knew how to build a website. I knew how to do the things necessary. So I just made a net label and put out my own tunes for free because I was like, well, I'm not going to make any money doing it this other way anyway. So who cares? Like, at least I'm getting my tunes out. Plus, I make a lot of music. I produce stuff really, really fast when I'm making music. I can, I can really pump it out. So I was like, okay, well, shopping it just can't keep up with me. So then I kind of just like stopped doing the net label and stopped caring about it for a while. And then my buddy Aiden, who goes by pseudonym and has a group called Class A Deviants, they were making a lot of tunes and shopping their stuff, and he came to me and he was like, when are we going to put something else out on Degrees of Separation? And uh I was like, well, if we're going to do that, let's get serious about it. And he's like, yeah, that's what I mean, let's get serious. And so I hit up some friends of mine that had labels and had distributors for their labels and had all the mechanisms in place, and I was like, hey, I'm ready, what do I need to do? And they helped me, get a digital distributor. And so basically I put out my music, I put out Class A Deviants music, and then I have a handful of friends that I collaborate with or have collaborated with that I've put stuff out. I've made a couple of compilations, but basically myself and Aiden's now my roommate. I recently moved to LA in the last year from Washington State, and like, yeah, it's kind of it's go time kind of thing. So we've been releasing things every couple of months, whether it's a Class A Deviants release or a Sugar release. And we've got some other things scheduled now that we're getting serious, and we're both in the same space and doing I vend at shows all over town, like at warehouse parties and nightclubs, selling the merchandise from the record label and promoting the record label. So I try and be at as many different things that kind of fit the vibe of what we release. And uh just also have like cool merchandise. People like the designs that come from our label. And so, you know that helps spread the word. And that's also part of the label, is like, I'm a designer, Aiden's a painter and a lighting designer. And so we kind of try to embody a little bit of everything in that aspect of the label.
Something I noticed when I went to the website was right away there was this pop-up window that said, save 10% if you sign up right now. And there was this cool like design that was a figure,
Yeah, yeah,
human figure, and it
here,
was and it was like this,
that figure.
yes, in blue, and and it reminded me of Dr. Manhattan from The Watchmen.
Okay, I don't know what that is. I don't watch a lot of
No,
movies or anything like that. So,
it's a comic book from the 80s.
oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah,
DC Comics,
okay.
Alan Moore.
Oh, I know who Alan Moore is. He's like a
Yeah,
crazy writer guy and
he's a
pumps out a
genius
ton
writer.
a ton of comics. Yeah, I've
The
watched a couple of documentaries about him.
Yeah, The Watchmen is one of his best.
Okay,
If you if you
okay.
if you like it, if you enjoy comic books, and there is a movie that came out back in like 2008, I think, of that comic book series. But it was a limited series. It was like basically it really had a beginning, middle, and end to that story. And it said even today when I went to um when I was going to college, and actually no, technically I was in high school and taking college courses for summer class at the Academy of Art in San Francisco. Um, when I took the a class in comic book making, that was one of the required readings,
Oh
was
wow.
reading The Watchmen by Alan Moore, because it was such an iconic and in-depth series. For it being really just a graphic novel, it even today it is still heralded as one of the most unique and best stories of all time.
Cool.
And it's just like that's that character that you have there, that is very much a like a PCB styled humanoid character, just reminds me of Dr. Manhattan. And
Yeah, so Kai Martin, who helped me design that concept, uh he is a graphic novel illustrator and pretty prolific artist that I've worked with for many, many years. And so he probably knows everything about what you're talking about.
yeah,
But yeah, so it basically a modular synth robot. That's I call it the mod bot.
the Modbot. Cool.
Yeah, and actually the non-face, there's like a bunch of dots on the face. That's actually the logo of Degrees of Separation. So that's the original logo. Was just the dots. And so kind of the whole premise of where I came up with the name of Degrees of Separation, and a lot of how I live my life is ultimately that like we are all degrees of separation from each other, and
Yeah.
that includes the embodiment of electronic music and techno or noise or whatever, like just like that type of expression is all just like varying degrees separated from each other. And I'm into all of it and always have been. And I always struggled with, like, do I have a shitload of monikers? Do I go by a bunch of different names? Well, in the era of social media, that's a friggin' headache. And
Yeah.
like so I went through a phase of like trying to change my name several times, and like I just kept like I'm known as Sugar. Like most of the people I know across the planet like don't know my real name. And if they do, they sure don't call me by it. And that like it's like my parents and like people that knew me a long, long time ago, they know my real name, but I don't really go by that. I prefer not to. I like Sugar's just become who I am. And anyway, the label and that struggle that I had of defining self, um and trying to define, like, I'm techno or I'm house, like, or whatever that I think I am. I gave up on that a long, long time ago, and like I like to interact with people. Like, call yourself whatever you want. I don't give a shit. Like, let's come play. I love collaboration. I'm all about bringing different ideas together and mixing it up and making a mess of it all.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you with collaboration. In my experience with playing electronic music, collaboration is one of the best things to happen to anyone.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
so much that, when you bring the creativity and knowledge to each other, that's when so much happens,
For
and,
sure.
and it's so cool to see.
Yeah, I think so. I said before, uh, I now have like this is sort of actually a duo set. He wasn't able to come tonight, my partner, but it's it really it really elevates the whole experience because we're sort of you kind of vibe off each other, like at least in a live situation.
Definitely.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen that many people do like a duo set live. Frankly, it's tough because you need some sort of you need to understand each other and like, okay, I'll come in now or you come in, I'll take a break, you know. Whereas when you're doing a live performance as all you, every decision is your decision. But actually, that's what I've learned is actually that's quite a lot of pressure, and in some of my live sets, sometimes there are moments where you sort of choke, right? Because you don't
Definitely.
unlike DJing where the track can just continue playing, you like the when it's live and it's especially just like live hardware, it's just going to get repetitive, right? That's the problem. And my whole thing is you just really have to avoid the repetition because people will get bored and walk away. Like, and so trying to make it as much of trying to make a pure live set almost like a DJ set is quite challenging. And what I've learned is having a second person to sort of take off a little bit of that sort of workload is really like amazing because it lets you sort of foment ideas on the side. You know, I just work on the drums while he's working on like this crazy synths coming from the pulsar, and so I'm really enjoying this like dual setup. Like it was just I just randomly asked him, hey, do you want to join? Because I knew you had a pulsar, and after like 2 or 3 sessions, we just really connected, and it was like the last show we did a 2-hour live set, like all live, just and I mean it was heavy, like it was banging, you know, and there was DJs in between, so it was like there was a DJ before us and 3 DJs after us, so it had or to 2, and so we had to like keep the same energy level. You know, people were already warmed up. There was no forgiveness, right? Like at for example, Corey, I always said like at the resident shows, right? They're amazing, but the thing is with the resident shows is you as a performer it's amazing because everyone is so forgiving, right? Like they'll forgive your they'll forgive your fuck ups, or if it like dies a little bit, it's like whatever. People are just like, oh, that's whatever. It's not a big deal. But in a live situation where people have paid to come and they're dancing and they're drinking, you really can't you can't have big dips. And so for me, that's the big focus is like how to avoid those dips, and it takes a lot of sort of structure actually and use of delays and reverbs to sort of blend stuff in, but also have consistent kick drums and again now evolving to have a second person. It makes a live performance a lot more palatable where people don't even realize it's live, like and they're like, oh, it sort of sounds like a DJ set, but it's live, but they know it's live when you fuck up. And so that's when you're going to be really careful. Right? You really have to like be doing it right. So they think it's like a regular DJ set, which is actually it sounds lame, but it's sort of the mark of success if you can do that. So anyway, that's what I strive to achieve. I know people have different sort of views on live performance. It's like some people are like, no, but the fuck ups are part of the live performance. And I was like, yeah, that's true, but you can only fuck up like maybe twice. And then people will start being like, what the fuck is this? And so I think that's what I've learned from historical sort of performances in a non-forgiving crowd, which is just your average crowd. Even at a warehouse party. Like Schugar, you were saying, right? Like they're still sort of demanding to some degree. And anyway, that's sort of what I'm trying to push forward and, show people that it is possible. There are only like a few sort of live acts where I think they can do like full performances, like a DJ set. For example, Colin Bender's Surgeon. There's a couple others who I can think of, but those people can really do proper sets, live sets, pure live, and they've really, you can tell they've practiced, right? And this Hans Berger, that guy's that was the third one. Anyways, I know I said a lot, but I'm like, my whole thing is trying to make a live performance feel like a DJ. That's sort of my thing.
I think what you're saying is relevant when it comes to purists like what you're talking about. But I mean, I think that there's phenomenal performances by people that are not like Surgeon or people that have done this for years and years. I mean, obviously, you got people like Speedy J who will do a 8-hour performance live, and like he never stops, and it's amazing and different every single time. But I mean, like this format, give somebody 30 minutes. I think that that's a solid amount of time, even or less. 20 to 30 minutes is a solid amount of time to do a great performance and not have to be a master in the craft and have 20 to 30 years under your belt hammering away at crowds for that whole time, your entire life. Like Surgeon's got mad gray hair. Like, and if I grew my beard out, I got mad gray hair too.
Totally. No, I totally agree with you. It's different formats for different audiences and different capabilities, that are. I guess what I'm talking about is the expectation of the crowd is critical to sort of where you are as a live artist.
Okay, I'll tell you this: get out of San Francisco.
I'm out. I don't
Just
live
me.
there
Just
anymore.
me.
I
live in
know, but
Utah.
I'm just like the West Coast is a very unforgiving place. Sometimes, especially in the major cities, San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, LA, San Diego, even sometimes. But now that I've been in LA a lot, like the last year, and going to a lot of different shows from an outsider looking in, uh the crowds are actually becoming, well, one, I'm going to shows where the crowds are way younger than I am, and they're like starry-eyed like I was in the 90s and early 2000s. Like I was still like, like it was like, oh, this is fresh and new, and maybe I don't know as much. And I think that it's kind of like, for me, I'm a jaded old asshole when it comes down to it. I can sit in the back of the room and pick apart a DJ like no other. Like I've been a DJ for 30 years, so I understand that. And I've like really in the last year and a half, I've like that's kind of all started to fade away personally, just because I stopped trying to be a DJ and caring about it, and focus more from a different perspective for myself, and go, okay, I'm just in it for the music. What does that look like? And now I'm like, a lot of things are different about shows. In fact, being asked to do a show is a little bit weird even, and I've been asked to do more live shows, and I'm getting more picky about that because of what you were talking about, actually, Hex Mode, about that, needing to really perform in a very specific way for the dance floor. And um I think in the last 5 years of being a DJ, that started to stress me out and change my appreciation for what I was doing, making me not appreciate what I was doing. And I think that challenge, like when you can approach it and be about, I mean, I have mad respect for people that can like do what you're doing and do what you're talking about, and like merging the live and the DJing together and still holding it together for a dance floor, because I gave up on that approach. Like I hope people dance to my music, but I don't really care either.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I see both sides, right? Like I said, I again, it's really about who's the audience. Like, and if people are sitting in chairs, you can just go ham wild on atonal and just do whatever you want, right? And people are they're going to be forgiving for the most part. Even on the West Coast, I mean, I don't think the West Coast, it's just who's in the room and what are they expecting from you. And if it's just, hey, these are like a bunch of different artists with all different styles. I mean, I used to go to Resonant Frequencies in the Bay Area, for example, and it's like, I've seen setups there and I'm like, what? Where do you even get this shit? Like, does people have like old school telephones? And I'm just like, and I'm like, how are you? I mean, I'm very into this shit, this music. It's like super just noise. I love noise. Like the noise genre to me is just phenomenal. Corey, I mean, his stuff is really fucking cool as well.
Thank you.
To me, I need like driving drums for all the time, and so I find it very hard. I find it very hard to even do sort of noise and atonal and things like that. Like I really appreciate people who do that. Um, but I think like
Drugs.
yeah, sure, drugs. But I think if we're at like an art gallery or something like that, right?
It's not
That's where
necessary.
some of this stuff would be really just adding the atmosphere. But like I said, if people are like, if you're in the middle of three DJs and you can't just like you can't just go from like four on the floor to atonal. Everyone's gonna leave, right? Like that's the thing. So it's all about the audience. And I think
I
my
mean,
thing
yeah,
is
yeah. I think in a dark techno scene at this point, you absolutely can go that direction and bring it back, and they will respect that. But if you're in a commercial techno scene, like or house music scene, of course it's not gonna fly unless you're, like in commercial techno, like if you're Carl Cox, he could pull that off, right? But it's like, like a big name is the one that's gonna be able to do that, or like darker, more underground styles.
yeah, absolutely. Actually, Carl Cox does do some live sets. I've seen he does use a DFAM actually in some of his stuff, and he has a 303. There's one artist that's probably like he's called Rainier Zonneveld. He's like he throws massive he headlines like huge festivals, but he does like live shit. He does a hybrid set basically, and it's really impressive. I mean, it's pretty impressive. That he does that at that level because like I said, if you fuck up people sort of notice. But you're right, I think I would like to play at some places where it's a little bit not as demanding, where people are you can go a little bit like off the where you don't need a kick drum, for example. You don't need a four on the floor kick drum. I think that those kind of spaces and those kind of venues are they're harder to find, I feel. I don't know, at least for me. But I'd love to do something like that where I would just bring the IntelliGel case. I wouldn't even have the drum machine. I would just play some weird noise, and
I think when you go like push it to like weird camp out festival type stuff, like a lot of those kinds of things, you could easily find spots where you can like go those types of deep dark directions, and people will appreciate it. I mean, I think that like uh I would say this. I have re-found a place in the underground that I didn't think existed anymore for a while. And a lot of that just comes from, like I said, not trying to throw parties, not trying to be a DJ anymore, not trying to play shows, but trying to go, okay, how do I come at this from a different perspective? And I'm still making the music, I'm still into the culture, but like I I want that thing again that I had at one point. And so like, there's this crew that I work with in LA called Techno Fam LA, and their parties are always just like, holy shit, what is this? Like dark stuff. And I can, like easily like things have devolved into like really like just wall of sound sonic.
I'd love to be connected with those guys. Actually, I've been following them on Instagram, and I think that I love that the LA scene has sort of grown so much in the techno side. I think it's really fantastic, right? Because techno has primarily been, I mean, initially started in Detroit, but the sort of Euro kind of commercial techno really was sort of brought onto the East Coast, and sort of seeing it now in LA and becoming so big is really amazing to see. So. Yeah, I think it's really awesome, and I think you're right. Like they're gonna be like at a festival, they're gonna be much more forgiving because they're just like, oh, you do this some like weird live shit, like hell yeah, let's bring you on, but then later on in the night, I think if you have the chops to be able to do sort of something like more DJ like, respect that too. So there's, I feel
I
like
mean,
it's,
there's definitely people that are into that, you know, and like will book you from that perspective, like have you play two different shows, you know, like easily.
right, totally.
I want to interject for a sec. Uh, so, sure, you spoke to us about your label, which thank you for telling us about it. And Junaid, I know that you have recently had a few tracks put out under your DJ name, and I was curious if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know. I'm not able to type on the YouTube, but it's J Stitch. So that's sort of my tech house moniker. Yeah, I had a bunch of releases recently. I'm on 3 different labels now. Um, Pretty much like vocal tech house that you sort of hear, pretty common. The hex mode thing obviously is my techno alias, live techno alias. And I know, Sugar, you talk about aliases. I think it is important actually to have different aliases for different music. And yeah, so, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. Having more than like 2 is a nightmare. Thank you. Yeah, just J Stitch on Spotify, JAY Stitch, like stitching. And yeah, there's a bunch of new releases on there. Yeah, you can check them out. Let me know what you think. It's like bumping house music basically.
No, I'm really excited when I started seeing that showing up on your Instagram account. I was really excited for you because I've known you since what 2018 at least, and and I've seen you grown from that from when we first met to now, and I'm so excited to see that happen for you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a long. I've been producing for almost like 10, maybe more now years, and it's just like I almost gave up halfway through. I was just like, man, like I'm just like not making shit that's good enough, and I just got a fresh wind at some point. They always say like, it's you only fail if you stop, and so that's kind of that really got to me, and I was just like, I'm just gonna keep going, and yeah, this year a lot has sort of culminated. My sound culminated, and my production, I guess, culminated, and yeah, so things are on a roll. I'm pretty happy, and I'm not really DJing. Like I'm sort of on Sugar's kind of vibe. Like I'm not. I don't know why. I'm just like DJing, just straight DJing. I don't know. It sort of bores me now. Like this live stuff. I wish people would respect the live a little bit more. But man, the DJing bores me because it's just like other people's songs. I'm just not. Even if it's my own song, I don't even. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like you're dancing to my song. That's fine. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I'm just happy producing this stuff, and I'm happy. These labels are seeing me, and they're just recognizing the work I put in, and yeah, things. I think the ball starts rolling. Once you get a few releases, I think that's people start seeing like, okay, there's something here, and especially if you're on different labels, I think there's something to that as well. So yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Sugar, do you have anything to add to that? I can't hear you, man. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry. I missed something. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, right on, right on. I was microphone issues. Well, I mean, I know people that are willing to pursue that game of getting on labels, and actually Aiden, my roommate, Class A Deviants, they're on like 10 or 11 labels, and they like putting out, like, I mean, they pump out a release every 2 to 3 months if they can, and I mean, when it comes to where we're at, I'm like, this is something that I thought about a long time ago. Uh it's very common in the experimental scene. It's also very common in techno. House music, it's a little bit less common but similar. Um uh and then hip hop also, it's very common. Put out something as often as you can.
Yeah.
And so like somebody that I followed for a really long time and then kind of gave up for this exact reason is a guy named Umek. And he's like great producer, but dude was putting out a release every single week, if not 2 or 3 sometimes. And like your shit becomes formulaic, dude. Like there's nothing special about any of it, you know? But um depending on who you are and how you are, like release as much as you can and as much as you want to. Me, I'm nuts. Like I released an album in October of 47 tunes. I've got
Whoa.
easily like 150 more that I'm going to release in the same way
Wow.
because during the pandemic, I holed up on an island in way northwest Washington state, and I just made tracks every single day because why not? And I made 3 to 5 tracks a day for a year and a half.
Wow.
And I made a record label so I could put my own shit out, so that's what I'm gonna do. You know, and plus I'm still producing now and putting stuff out of that's like current content as well. So, I mean, it's all about your drive and your vision and your thing. And like the other thing I would say is don't second guess yourself. You know, uh, you got something to say? Jump in.
No, I want to say, so Janae's got to jump off. He's a busy guy. Janae, I want to congratulate you again on becoming a dad. That's congratulations to your family. I'm so happy to see you grow as an artist and as a human. It's so wonderful that we're still able to connect. Congratulations to everything you're doing, man. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you, dude. No, I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate you hitting me up with this. This has been awesome. Yeah, I mean, I last peaked. I was there with you, and I don't know what that place was, but that was a
That
really
was
cool event too.
oh, that was at that. Oh my God. Okay, so
It was at
that
some tech company's office.
supply frame.
Yeah, that place. That place was dope. It was
Yeah,
just like such a cool event, and we did me and that guy Clark something,
Mark Harding.
Clark Harding. Yeah, we did like we had the two modular rigs like facing each other like battle style. Like it
That
was
was
pretty
cool.
cool.
It was like
And
Battleship. Yeah.
yeah, that was super fun, man. Yeah, but thank you, dude. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you soon. You know, hopefully I'm in the Bay Area at some point, or you can come out here. You know, we hang out in the studio. So yeah,
I would love to come visit you.
yeah, absolutely.
It'd be really fun. I would love to come out to I think Utah. Is that the
Yeah,
city?
yeah. I'm in Salt Lake City. Yeah.
All right. I'll try to make it out there maybe later this year or early next year. We'll try to figure it out. I have another friend I need to visit out there that I have not seen in a long time. But and yeah, I don't think I've ever spent any time in Utah. I need to go out there. There's some awesome things going on up there, and there's a really great beer culture I know about there as well. And I like the beer culture out there. It's pretty good.
There is.
Thanks for letting me know. So before you jump off, uh, there's a couple announcements. So, Pete, we are going to be doing things a little differently. We're not going to be doing the monthly events like we are right now. We're going to be shifting gears a little bit. We're going to be doing things where we're going to start doing uh, pre-recorded sets where we're going to be doing like the 1-to-1 ratio where we're going to go, well, Rich and I will go out to a location and we'll go to an artist studio. We're going to go out and film people, do interviews, and do pre-recorded sets so that we will have a YouTube release for those sets. And those will be, more high quality. We'll use more angles and DSLRs and more controlled lighting and have more in-depth conversations with one artist at a time. So we're going to be we will be doing that this year. We've got a couple of people already lined up for that, and I'm hoping to have more people lined up for this really soon. We will still do the Peaked as you know it, but not on a monthly basis. We're going to be doing it probably more on a quarterly basis. Not entirely sure about that yet. We still have a schedule to kind of figure out. I think we're going to do something between San Francisco and LA. So we'll probably do some more live shows at Mission Sense that we have done between, like we did last month back in April, and last year as well, when we did the 3rd and 4th anniversary shows at Mission Sense. We're probably gonna do maybe 2 shows, maybe 3 shows a year at Mission Sense. I still have to talk to Brian and Betsy about that, but that's something that we really want to do. And I know that Brian and Betsy are open to doing that with us over at Mission Sense here in San Francisco. So I'll try to figure that out, and we will get something on the schedule for that. So we will still have live shows where we have like 2 people a month and have interviews and performances, and then we'll also do that somewhere in LA, also using probably Supply Frame as our base out in LA where that is. And Rich knows more about that than I do, but we'll figure that out, and we'll have that on our schedule. If you go to peaked.website, that's PIQUED.WEBSITE, and you can find out more about what we're going to be doing throughout the year if you follow and subscribe on our website. That will keep you in the loop of what was going on. We also have our of course the YouTube account, but also the Facebook and the Instagram account, which we will constantly be updating on what's going on with Pete. And we'll have some shows in LA and San Francisco simultaneously throughout the year. But we'll also be working on doing these one-to-one shows as well to showcase one artist at a time, where we have better productions and more in-depth conversations and about what's going on in those studios. So really hoping we can get out and travel a little bit more. We're still working on logistics on how we're going to be able to do that financially, and that does help out with whoever's going to be start subscribing. We still have just free subscribers right now, but we'll eventually have a tiered system going on, and we're still working on that. So stick with us, please subscribe, and find out more on Pete.website website about everything that we're going to be trying to continue to develop for this platform. And I want to thank again Junaid, HEXMODE, and Schugar. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming out and doing this with me. It's so good to Junaid. It's so good to reconnect with you. I haven't seen you in a few years, but you're doing great. I'm so good to see you again, man. Let's get a shawarma soon.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure. All right, man. Yeah, absolutely. Good seeing you. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.
Nice meeting you, Sugar.
Yeah.
See you, dude. Yeah. Bye.
Sugar, take care, man. So is there anything coming up you would like to announce, or anything that we don't know about yet?
I mean, check out the website. New releases coming out constantly. I did have a release just come out right before 420 called Alien Magic. But yeah, go to the website degreesofovseparation.com, and all the info's there. Yeah, I'm on Instagram and all that stuff, so say hi.
Is that by Sugar on Instagram?
Yeah, spelled BYSCHUGAR on Instagram. And that's my website too, bysugar.com. So like all that stuff is all stacked up there as well.
Fantastic. Sugar, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, heck yeah. Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it. I had a good time.
Thank you so much. Please, you had something else to say?
No, that's it, man. That's it.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us here at Peaked. I'm Corey Luna. This is Sugar. Rich Hogbin on AV, and HEXMODE was on here just a minute ago. Thank you so much. Stay home and stay safe. Good night.